Okay, this video is about Pascal's wager. I wanted to be able to show my face on it, but I'm not able to get that to work on my video program at the moment. So anyways, Pascal's wager. Pascal was this genius from a long time ago, from a couple hundred years ago, and he basically wrote a very famous essay called His Wager. He was a genius of mathematics, computer design. Back in those days, he invented the first computer. And he's very interested in the odds and betting. So he made this chart here. So if God exists and you believe in God, you have infinite gain. If you believe in God but he doesn't exist, then you have no significant loss or gain. If God exists but you don't believe in God, then you have infinite loss. So he says it makes sense to believe in God because you got nothing to lose. Okay, so now we'll go deeper into this very famous logic here. Pascal lived from 1623 to 1662. He said, "We know the truth not only by reason, but by the heart. Love and force are the source of all our actions. Love causes voluntary actions, and force makes us do stuff we don't want to do." Okay, now we're going to read the actual Pascal's Wager by Blaise Pascal, one of the best Christian writings ever made. There are three ways that we use to see the truth. The first is the outer eye of the body. The second is the inner eye of the mind. And the third is the inner eye of the heart, the soul. The heart has reasons that reason knows not. What should we want to be true? What if there was a bet with the possibility of infinite gain with no risk of loss? What if there was another bet with the possibility of infinite loss and no hope of gain? That would be the most interesting wager you could have. That is the reality of religion. God either exists or God does not exist. If you wager your life that God does not exist, and he does, then you lose everything. If you wager your life that God exists and he doesn't, then you lose nothing. If you wager your life that God does exist and he does, then you gain everything. If there is one wager you should want to be able to make, it is on God. You must wager. You are already embarked. What will you choose? This is not a proof of God, but it is an incitement to want to know. But knowledge of God without knowledge of Christ is insufficient, because the world would still make no sense to us. Imagine that God created a world, just as Descartes described. So what? There is still the misery of man, the contradictions, the absurdities of life, incomprehensible to us. The world had a creator, fine, but so what? What does it resolve? What does it answer for you? Without the knowledge of Christ, knowledge of God is a barren, empty, philosophical doctrine about a first cause, irrelevant and unimportant to human life. But faith and Christian revelation change everything. There are arguments, but they won't convince you, because one does not believe in Christ through the mind. One believes in Christ through the heart. There were miracles. There were prophecies fulfilled, but those won't tempt you at all, because the mind rejects what's good and the will rejects what's good. But if one is touched in one's heart by grace, the heart has its reasons which reason knows not. And the world finds it absurd that a Christian believes by faith and by grace. But here is what happens. Have you ever looked at a double perspective picture? And you look at it, and you look at it, and it looks like one thing. But then you change your perspective on it. And when you look at it now from a different angle, you realize that it is a picture of something else. That is what Christian faith accomplishes. When you understand the full, you understand the absurdity, the misery, and the dualism of human life, you understand how we are a combination of the exalted and the debased. When you understand the sacrifice, the crucifixion, the blood, the grace of Christ, then that there is a God and that this is his world, merited by the love that surpasses all understanding. It makes sense of that world which formerly was incomprehensible. With faith, our contradictions and unhappiness, our greatness, our depravity, it all falls into place. It's not physics, not barometrics, not philosophy. None of these things are the goal of life. Inner peace and salvation are the goals of life, and those are matters of grace, the heart, and Christian faith. Blaise Pascal from Pensée, which means thoughts, thoughts on Christ. So, hope that was interesting.